how's it look from a developer who has come up with a rather interesting way to use our existing technology today and enter the wonderful world of social media. We have Mr. Idris Butt, the CEO of SMS All. You might know it as Chopal, I think, yes, from Pakistan. So please come up to the stage, Mr. Butt. Idris Butt has been, this service was deployed in 2011, has 1.5 million registered users, 2.5 million users through corporate clients, and 400,000 established communities who all communicate in a social network that is built on SMS. Mr. Butt was selected by the MIT Technology Review on its list of 35 world's top young innovators for last year, and will tell us, oops, where's my other one? So give us the view on social networking going mobile. Welcome, please.
Thank you. Well, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me, ICTA, to speak at this conference. There's one correction that it was our CEO, Dr. Umar Saab, who was awarded the TR35 award for MIT last year. I wish this was myself, okay? So next year. Maybe. So I'm here to talk about our experience of running a social network over SMS in Pakistan. And 2 years ago when we started off, we were really confused, that how do we really monetize this? How do we really take care of, all the issues related to running a social network over SMS? And, after 2 years of roller coaster rides, as someone spoke today, that working with telecom operators is very, very difficult. And, finding out a revenue share, agreeing on that, going into an agreement, and all sort of that crap, it's very, very difficult. So we had our difficult ride, throughout 2 years. And now we are, of course, well placed, and we found some ways to, address this kind of a problem in our own circle. And one thing I want to tell you that, like Osama mentioned, that we live in the part of world where, there are different rules. And for example, in my country, there's 18 hours of load shedding. So you don't have power, so how would you really develop something, You need, this very difficult to become an entrepreneur, because of the social structure there. So we kind of solve different problems than, people living in developed countries, they address the problems in a different way. So my talk is more of, how we see problems and how we developed our, social network. So first of all, let us define what social networking is. As typical, many of the slides we have been, seeing, much of the data is already shared. So I'll try to skip so that we have more time for question answers, maybe. So social networking is the grouping of individuals into specific groups, like small rural communities. Although social networking is possible in person, especially in the workplace, universities, and high schools, it's most popular online as yet. The web is easy, convenient, and offers great flexibility to present content. That's why, of course, you can share pictures, you can, see advertisements around, and do a lot of fancy stuff there. And now we are living in the world where we think that most of the world is connected through Facebook, for example, or the internet. But that's not true. There is something else to it. And when you look at the social networking, we can see, and we have been listening since morning, that mobile phone is a device which is more suited now, for the social networking elements, because it is always with you. It has many unique abilities, as Tommy mentioned, and the web is converging towards mobile. And Facebook just bought Instagram just for the mobile sharing application, the picture sharing application, and similarly we have other applications coming along. Path is one of them, which builds on the mobile technology to let people share their daily life with each other. So here is the some of the numbers that you have seen already. We see a big bars, the blue bars. Why I'm saying that mobile is well suited for the social networking is because of this thing. We have huge growth throughout the last years, in mobile cellular phone, subscriptions. And you see the green bar out there is just like internet, users. So there's a huge gap between the mobile usage and the internet usage. And as you can see, the global penetration reaches 87%, throughout the world. So that's, that's the possibility. That's the reason we should think about making a social networking platform for the mobile phones. And so we have world's total population of 7 billion, and we have mobile subscription of 6 billion, right? Internet users only 2 billion, and smartphone users 1 billion to date, right? Let's look at the internet, why we are talking about SMS. Because internet in developing countries, its growth is very, very low, as you can see from this graph, right? So there is no 3G in Pakistan, for example, as yet. 140 million mobile subscribers, only 20 million internet users, and 6 million Facebook users as yet in Pakistan, for example. So people are accessing their social networks through their mobile phones now more than ever before. They are using their devices because, as we have been having the debate of smartphones and featured phones, but nevertheless, it lets you connect with, you send a message, you can broadcast what you're thinking and so on. And you have its addiction. So I read in Tommy's book that first time that, this is a study that average person looks at 150 times a day, and I started noticing myself, and that's very true. So all the time, I always have my cell phone with me, and I keep looking at it. And my wife, sometimes, get, very frustrated with this, because I have a break of 2 minutes. All I do is, look at my mobile phone. And then, so now we see, this is the background of this. So we know that mobile phones are more suited for social networking services, right? And we know that the smartphones are growing, but there are more, dumb phones as yet in the market. So there has to be a way for us to connect this, the two mediums on the mobile phone, and have a platform which runs across all such, interfaces. So what is required is, in my view, to develop the Facebook experience for the 6 billion people on the planet, or the other 5 billion, to get the full meaning of social networking, focusing on a common medium such as SMS, for example. So what is the Facebook experience? It lets you develop relationships, develop more connections, retain relationships, I would say, and it lets you share the information and so on. So now, if you imagine a social network over SMS, or has the Facebook experience in it, how would that look like? What kind of features it would have, for example? You have to think beyond sending one-to-one SMS. You need to bring in a social element in it. So now, right now, you send a message thinking that I need to inform someone about something. It's just like a notification, of that sort. But when you think of making it social, you're talking about a particular topic or an agenda, or there is a reason, there is an action. You went somewhere, you checked into some place, and now you're talking about that place only, right? So it has to broadcast to multiple people at the same time. You can't just send one-to-one SMS always. So it has to go to multiple people. So there's a concept of groups in our network, where you send one SMS to our number, our short code, and it goes to everyone in that group. And there are different type of groups. For example, you may have a private groups where your relationship exists with only people that, the link goes from you to those people. So they are your friends, your family. Maybe two of your friends are not friends with each other, for example. So you send a message, it's one to many, and when you receive a response from them, it's like many to one. So that's the private group I call. You don't want to share the responses of your friends with other friends. So that's the mode of communication in the private group. Then there are public groups where just like a communities on interest base. For example, you can have a community of bikers, coffee lovers. You just join that community just to be. It's just like subscribing to a tag, hashtag on Twitter, right? So anything goes on that, you can receive that message related to that particular topic. Similarly, we need to enable all sort of communication mechanisms. It's like many-to-many, like conference messaging, in which you send one SMS, it goes to everyone, and reply comes to everyone. Similarly, you need to have one-to-many, as I just described in the private groups case. And then you, of course, need to have one-to-one as well, because most of the conversation that we have seen starts from a group, and then eventually it converges to one-to-one. So it reduces the overall traffic. So it's like, you may think, if I send one message, it goes to 200 people, and then they start talking to each other, there will be a lot of traffic from operator's perspective. But it doesn't happen, After 3, 4, 5 messages, people tend to choose their own, group members, and then they start talking to each other. And what happens is, it's like, due to that particular conversation, they may send 15, 20, 35, 30 messages just without knowing that they are so much engaged in it, because there's a social element in it, right? Similarly, there has to be profile sharing. You should be able to search people based upon their profiles. You should be able to know who has looked at my profile. One of the features we have is that you can view last 50 viewers of your profile. And whenever you update your profile, it gets notified to you. We send a message to the last 50 people who viewed your profile that there is a profile update, you should look at it. Then, of course, you need to have privacy control. You should be able to invite more people to your friends, choose who joins your group, who leaves your group, how to kick someone off if someone is not following the rules. And there's a funny incident, one of our users told me once that he has actually printed a form on paper, and before someone joins the group, he gets a sign on it that you will abide by all the rules that I've set in. You will not abuse anyone, you will not talk about this topic, you don't go out of topic, and so on. So that's how people really own these kind of groups we have seen. They really want to have control over it and decide who comes in our group and how do they talk to each other.